welcome in to Garbage Time Fantasy Football. How you doing, boys?
Good. How you doing?
Well, just the three of us today. Just
Draft.
Just Ron, Joe, and Ryan today. No JJ. He's a slacker.
I think JJ needed to take like a full day just to prepare himself for the Bears completely screwing him over tomorrow.
He's preparing for his meltdown.
I can see that.
He just needs he's just been doing like yoga and meditation all day today.
Deep breathing exercises. You know.
That leaves plenty of opportunity to shit on JJ's list tonight.
Oh yeah.
He's like proofing his house so he can't break anything while after the draft.
Covering everything in like styrofoam.
Boarding up the windows, like just
taping his remote down to the table.
He's building a second screen off of his TV, so when he smashes it, he's not smashing the actual TV screen.
Oh,
if you have rage issues, feel free to use any of these tactics.
Great ideas.
Great ideas. Top notch.
Have you guys heard any rumors about the draft today?
I think I read that someone put out that Trey Lance is the favorite to go before Justin Fields now by like a smidgen. Not sure how important that is, but
at what position, 3 or 4, is the question.
Yeah, and I guess the Falcons are still taking calls, so there's
I'm sure they're going to be taking calls this whole time. I feel like though, because of with the news coming out today, where Denver is now traded for Teddy Bridgewater for a 6th-round pick, I'm going to kind of take that as they either didn't want to trade up with Atlanta or they thought about trading up with Atlanta and Atlanta was just asking for too much.
I could almost see the Broncos almost trading down now.
Depends on who falls.
Right, but there was a report that said they are not precluding themselves from taking a QB. And
right.
I
agree, but
there's many examples in the NFL's history of where just taking a QB doesn't preclude someone from drafting him. So the example here would be Teddy Bridgewater, who the Jets traded for a few years ago, and in the same year had McCown and still drafted Sam Darnold,
which worked out great.
Yeah, worked out great. Now he's on the Panthers.
Yeah, kicking Teddy Bridgewater off yet another team.
Yeah,
I think that just
full circle.
Yeah,
I just think that solidifies the fact that Denver is not trading up for anybody.
Right. I feel like if a quarterback they want falls to them, they'll still draft him. But I feel like either the Falcons were off or asking for too much, or they just didn't want to trade up. So they went and did something that might help them get through this year. I mean, they got a good enough defense. They've got offensive weapons. All they really need is a quarterback.
And it depends too on how high the Falcons are on like Kyle Pitts, basically. Because if they trade down, they basically lose him. So maybe they wanna make sure they get him. Who knows?
So now that we mentioned Teddy Bridgewater, boys, and he got traded for a 6th-round pick today, do you guys think that he can claim that job?
It all depends on who they bring it. If it's just him and Drew Lock, yes.
Yeah.
I really think that he does.
Mm-hmm.
He had, the beginning of last year, he actually was playing pretty decently. Ended up falling off a cliff. But I do believe the Broncos overall is a more complete team than the Panthers is. Their defense is going to be nasty this year. And their offensive line is better.
As an offense, I don't really know if I necessarily believe that. I think the Panthers have quite a lot of weapons that he could have given the ball to. It's just I kind of think he fell off a cliff. I don't think it was them as a team that necessarily fell off a cliff.
Well, I think it has more to do with their offensive line. It was very
it was pretty
where the Broncos actually have a pretty decent compared to the Panthers. Their offensive line is better. So
agreed. I think they were pretty much patchwork in their offensive line.
Right. So I'm thinking maybe give Bridgewater a little bit more protection. I'm not saying they're instantly Super Bowl contenders or even playoff contenders necessarily, but
in our message board today, boys, what were we talking about that you thought another podcast was maybe listening to us, a comparison we made last episode? It was between your QB there, Ron.
Oh,
What
the,
did
the
they?
Daniel the Daniel Jones thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You really
what
want to
did-
go back to that?
yeah, I do.
Ridiculous.
Why don't you enlighten the listeners?
So some random podcast that's not nearly as good as ours had Daniel Jones down at like 20. And I'm sorry, his rushing ability alone is not going to get him down to 20.
That's funny because we listed about 20 quarterbacks that put him in about 20.
That you liked better. And one of those was Sam Darnold.
That
So, I mean,
JJ and Ryan liked better too.
yeah, and one of those was Sam Darnold. So
That's all right. We'll have that list starting week 1, and we'll keep those stats up.
look, and these were way too early. I haven't statted anybody out yet, so we'll see what happens. But
Yeah, Daniel Jones is only going to go up from 10 on your list.
no, I mean, in all honesty, he could drop a few, but
Mm-hmm.
like
A few
I don't
or
think
10.
he drops. I don't think he drops down to 20.
Yeah, 10's a few.
I don't think he drops all the way down to 20. I don't think it's possible.
He's going to finish that season at 19, and Ron's going to be like, "I told you so."
No, I wouldn't. I'd be like, we're drafting a quarterback.
Well, if he is to be in the top 10, he's going to need a lot of help. And there was some news provided today which might give him that help. You want to talk about that, Ron?
Saquon Barkley looks like he's going to be 100% for the start of the season. I just want to say, after Adrian Peterson tore his ACL came back, he almost broke the rushing record. So, I mean, Saquon Barkley, one extra game, huh? Come on, maybe.
You saying 2,000 yards with an extra game
Maybe.
off an ACL?
Maybe. Peterson did it.
Ballsy.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's actually going to do it. I'm just saying it's, it could happen.
Well, if he's the reason why he won't be a top 10 QB, because Saquon Barkley's just going to get the ball a lot next year.
Saquon Barkley will never rush for. I don't think he'll ever rush for 2,000 yards. Our team isn't good enough. We won't stay in games that easily for that long. Like we'll have to pass the ball in order to. But he could finish. Saquon could finish with 1,200 yards and 800 receiving yards. That's possible.
And Daniel Jones can complete games with 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles every game. Strong possibility of that too.
Yeah, but he also could not. It's also a possibility that every other quarterback gets injured and Daniel Jones finishes as the QB1 because there's no competition.
All right, let's not go to crazy land now. All right, Flowers was also traded from Miami to the Washington football team, right? Yeah.
That deserved that.
Cued yourself.
I did. That was a clown take, but it was fun.
All right, before you rudely interrupted me with that clown music, Flowers was also traded from Miami to the team formerly known as the DC Springles, the Washington football team. So he's heading home. What fantasy value that'll give to the Washington football team, I don't know if it's any, but that's really the only news that's happened in the last 2 days.
I love how everyone's like, he's headed home. He started on the Giants.
They're calling it home. He calls it
And
home.
he was
home.
a revolving door when he was with the Giants.
So maybe you're looking forward to him heading home in air quotes.
I'm pretty sure he was a first round draft pick by the Giants too, and it was lost big time. I hated when he was on our team.
So you're saying welcome back to the division with open arms?
Oh yeah. I honestly don't know how he still has a job. I guess he did do better after he left the Giants, but I don't know. He did not play well when he was with us.
Oh, should have been a Patriot instead.
Yeah.
Sorry, been one.
All right, Ron, what are we getting into tonight?
All right. So for today, we are doing our way too early wide receiver and tight end rankings.
The night before the draft.
The night before the draft. Since we don't have JJ, he sent us this list, and I'm going to go ahead and read them off real quick. Number 1, he's got Trey Quinn from the Saints. Number 2, he's no, that's not.
No, that's right. Continue.
Oh, is that the right list?
Yeah, let's keep going.
Number 2, he's got
obviously
Slayton,
it's KJ
Slayton from the
Hamler's number
Giants.
3.
KJ Hamler's number 3. I can't think of any more off my head like this.
I love JJ.
His number 1 tight end is Jeremy Sprinkle.
Yep. Who else could it be?
Right, exactly. All right, no, his real list, starting from 1, Tyreek Hill, Devonte Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Stefan Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, and C.D. Lamb. Only big surprise for me is Lamb on that list.
I mean, the potential for it is there. C.D. Lamb, I think, is going to move into their number one spot there. I mean, Dallas has got a lot of receiving options.
Yeah.
And as I kind of predicted, I'm kind of hoping a certain tight end goes there and steals some more targets because Ron would absolutely love that. But
I really kind of would, because then their defense would still be horrible, and they're still going to lose because they are going to be giving up so many points.
Not that Daniel Jones can win in a shootout anyway, but
did last year. His tight end, starting with 1, no surprise, Travis Kelsey, Darren Waller, George Kittle, Waller, TJ Hawkinson at 4, Mark Andrews at 5, Logan Thomas at 6, Noah Fant at 7, Dallas Goedert at 8. Number 9 is Kyle Pitts, and number 10, Jonnu Smith.
I'm surprised he's got Jonnu Smith over Hunter. So he truly believes that Jonnu Smith's going to be the number 1 tight end of that offense.
Oh, so do I. I think Hunter was brought in. I think they're going to use them both, to be honest.
I do too, but I think Hunter's going to get more targets than Jonnu. I think Jonnu is going to be more of the red zone target, but I think Hunter's going to be pretty close and get more volume of targets.
See, I feel like Hunter's going to be like the blocker.
That's what I was thinking. More of a blocking tight end.
Well, I hope you were wrong because he's on my list.
All right, we will get into our top 10 wide receivers here. Joe, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, really? You're going to kick it to me again this early?
Yeah, I got my list, though, this time. I'm not copying.
Oh, but you still need to do your notes, as always. All right, boys and girls. So, starting at number 1, very uncontroversial. It's a little bit different than JJ's. It's not Tyreek Hill, but I've got Devonte Adams at number 1. I mean, absolutely uncoverable last year. They moved him all around the field. You can't cover the man. He's just awesome. Second is Tyreek Hill. Last year, he had 15 touchdowns. He's an absolute speed demon. And, I mean, can't go wrong with him. Number 3, I've got DeAndre Hopkins. So that's the same pairing with JJ here. He had 1,407 yards. And, I mean, he had 12.12 averaging on catches last year and 6 touchdowns. I could see those touchdown numbers actually going up this year with Larry Fitzgerald leaving. Number 4, I've got Stefan Diggs, who absolutely broke out for being a good receiver with 1,130 yards the year before to 1,535 yards last year. Number 5, I've got the beast incarnate, DK Metcalf, who last year had 1,303 yards, 10 touchdowns, and is just an athletic monster. No matter how you plan for this guy, he's also just an absolute animal, and look for him to do that again this year. And number 6, I've got Keenan Allen, who I think is going to be just as good with Justin Herbert this year. Wait for that chemistry to get even better because Allen is just a target hog and a volume monster. And number 7, I've got Justin Jefferson. I believe he's going to become the true number 1 in Minnesota. If teams don't figure him out, he's going to be a good value this year in fantasy drafts. And number 8, I've got a JJ favorite here, Allen Robinson. Just off target volume, man. He's played with some garbage QBs in his past. Mitch Trubisky, to name one. And he played with all of host of Jacksonville quarterbacks. So, going now to Andy Dalton, he shouldn't have a problem. At number 9, I've got Michael Thomas, who has the ability to end up number 2 on this list if he stays healthy for the entire year. The only concerns here are the quarterbacks he's going to be playing with, which are going to be Winston and Tyson Hill. If he stays healthy, though, he can jump up this list. And at number 10, I've got A.J. Brown, just on the sheer volume of targets he's going to get with Jonnu Smith and Corey Davis being gone. He's going to be a target hog in that offense, so he's going to break the top 10.
Yeah, I like your list. I can't think of too much. Most of the guys that you have in yours, I also have in mine. And if I don't have them in mind, they're right on the outskirts. I'll run down mine real quick. The first 2 are exact same as yours, Devonte Adams and Tyreek Hill. Both of those guys are just supreme at their positions.
I'll stop you right there just to spark some more conversation for our podcast. Do you guys believe that both those wide receivers are worth top 5 or 6 picks in fantasy drafts this year?
5 or 6.
In the snake format, obviously not the auction because it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Devonte Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wouldn't be mad if someone took him at 5 and 6, but I feel like there's probably still running backs I would rather take there instead.
Especially if you do a wide receiver, it's gonna be real slim at running back the next time you get around. Next time you're around, late first round, then I'd say definitely that.
Yeah, I would say in late first round I would be more okay with it. But
all right, boys. Second part to the question. There's extra credit on this test. Devonte Adams or Travis Kelsey?
Devonte.
Ron's taking a deep thinker here.
Well, my thing is, historically, if you're not getting Travis Kelsey at tight end, you're not having a very good time at tight end. Even with the other ones that are really good, they're still inconsistent at times. You're still going to get those weeks where you get like 2 fantasy points.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get that with Travis Kelsey.
Man, I would not want to be stuck with this decision here because Devonte Adams is an absolute beast at this position. But like Ron said here, Travis Kelsey is just indestructible at this position. And it's a lot easier, I feel like, to find a wide receiver than a tight end. In fantasy,
wide receiver depth is larger.
But I wouldn't say that for anyone else in the tight end position right now.
No. You guys bring up a good point. So Devonte Adams, he was pretty much 30 points ahead of the second place wide receiver, which was Tyreek Hill last season. 30 points ahead of the third guy, pretty much all the way down to once you get to number 4, he's ahead by about 50 points. So that's kind of significant. But then when you look at tight end, Kelsey with 312, Darren Waller with 278. So it's like 23, 30 points. But then the drop from number 1 and number 2 is massive. So number 3, you had Robert Tanyan with 176. So, I mean, you almost talked, that's over 100 points in a fantasy season. So I guess I changed my answer. I would take Travis Kelsey over Devonte Adams.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
Wow. Someone on our podcast admitted they were wrong and changed their answer.
I know. It's amazing.
We have a first.
I listen to facts.
We listen to logic sometimes.
All right. I'll continue down my list if you're done with all your questions, Joe.
I'm done interrupting you. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Number 3, Stefan Diggs. He's just the only guy in that offense. I know they brought in Emmanuel Sanders. I don't care. Josh Allen is looking for Stefan Diggs first and second. And then maybe he'll look for a different wide receiver. Number 4, DeAndre Hopkins, like Joe said, his touchdowns have got to come up this year. I think he had, what did you say, like 6, if that?
Yeah, he had 6.
Yeah, like no. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes over 10 touchdowns this year. He could very easily be the wide receiver 1 at the end of the year. I can make that case for any 4 of those wide receivers in the top 4.
I'd say he's still a rung below Devonte. I think Devonte is the clear number 1 this year still, but we'll see.
Going in, yes. But what I'm saying is by the end of the year, DeAndre Hopkins could very easily be the wide receiver 1.
Not going to hate if I end up with him. Put it that way.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Number 5, Keenan Allen. Just like Joe said, he's probably going to be a target monster. Just going to grow with Justin Herbert. Number 6, Justin Jefferson. I think the tide is turning in Minnesota where he's going to be the 1 and Thielen will be the 2. They have a good run game. They'll be able to work that play action. And, I mean, Justin Jefferson was just electric last year. Even if he loses some of his production, he's still going to be putting up amazing numbers for you. Number 7, I have Calvin Ridley. I don't think Julio will be able to play the full season. I'm hoping he plays more than he did last year. He might be getting traded. If he gets traded, Calvin Ridley will probably move up this list. When Julio wasn't there, he hauled out, and he is the touchdown guy on that team. Even when Julio's there, Calvin Ridley is the touchdown guy. Number 8, I have AJ Brown. It's going to be a target monster. They lost Jonnu Smith. They lost Corey Davis. He's their only person at this moment. Number 9, DK Metcalf. He'd be higher if I wasn't worried about this offense running the ball so much. I think they tried the experiment of letting Russell Wilson throw the ball more. And yes, he was putting up amazing yards and everything, but their team was not winning games as much. And then they switched to running that ball more, and they started winning games with less production.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they fired their offensive coordinator, who is one of the most run-heavy people in the league,
Brian Schottenheimer,
because he didn't want to run the ball enough. So that's weird. They're going to run the ball. It seems like every play. It's like, I can't get it past my mind that it's going to be first down, second down, running the ball. And if that doesn't work, then on third down, they may pass.
It's the Giants' old formula to winning games: run, pass.
Yeah. But it works if you have the pieces around you, and the Seahawks do.
They do.
So hard to move them up.
So something
I'm going to pivot. Hold on, I got one more.
Pivot.
I'm going to pivot from my original number 10 because I looked down a few, and I'm going to put Terry McLaurin in at 10. I think with Fitzpatrick coming in, bombing that down the field, Terry McLaurin's an amazing wide receiver. He is just I think he's going to feast. Most of the defenses in the East, in the NFC East, aren't great. He gets the Cowboys twice a year, the Eagles twice a year. So I think he could put up a lot of fantasy points on those 4 games alone. And even the Giants have a good defense, but I think out of the 2 games, one of the games, he still had a respectable fantasy output against Bradbury. So I think I'm going to drop Julio down and bring Terry McLaurin up to 10.
I really want to find a reason to shit on your list because I'm still shell-shocked from last year when we were arguing about top 10 wide receivers and you trying to tell me Julio Jones was going to have a better season than Devonte Adams. And just for historic proponents of this podcast, I was dead right on that one. But you're definitely right about the wide receiver there for Atlanta. He is a target hog. And speaking of wide receivers for Atlanta right now, AJ Brown came out and posted on Twitter that he would absolutely consider giving up. He said, I would give up number 11 if this happens. And he was talking about trading for Julio Jones. Could you imagine that offense between Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Julio?
That'd be wild.
He's trying to recruit the guy. That would be absolutely interesting as hell.
Especially if Julio stays healthy, because AJ Brown and Julio are kind of the same. I want to say the same wide receiver, but they're both big, fast, athletic freaks. Obviously, Julio's getting older. He's probably lost a little bit, but still, that would be wild.
It just tells you how much he wants him on his team that he says he's willing to give up number 11, which is his number, for Julio, who is number 11. That would be fun.
I'd be interested if that happened.
I would tune into that offense.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I think Julio would be any better for fantasy. I'm not a fan of Julio because he's not a good red zone target. But I mean, I could still see that helping
a lot of his fantasy upside.
I could still see that helping AJ Brown.
All right, Ryan, why don't you jump into your list?
All right. The one downside to always being last is I never have anything new to bring. I thought my bombshell would be having number 10, Terry McLaurin, but then Ron stole it with his pivot. So, spoiler alert, I do have Terry McLaurin at number 10. Fitzmagic has come into town.
Game changing.
And I think McLaurin benefits the most from that.
Well, if you want to be different, you should go from 10 to 1.
True, he's going to be number 1. Mark it here.
No, I think he was saying start from 10 and go up to 1.
Ooh, we want to go backwards?
I don't think he was saying move McLaurin to 1.
I'll do it. It's just
Do it,
1-0.
you won't.
It's just
I'll
1-0
do it.
away. All right. So number 10, I put Terry McLaurin, obvious reasons. Number 9, I put Keenan Allen. Now that I'm thinking about it, I maybe should have put him higher, but as we talked about on Monday, I really like the odds of Justin Herbert being a top quarterback this season, and I think Keenan Allen's going to be his main target.
Sounds like we're all going to be bidding up Justin Herbert in the auction league this year.
Yep. No, number 8, I put Justin Jefferson. Had an amazing season last season. I see him just building off of that and becoming even better.
What do you got for us, Ron?
Ron has some news.
The Giants picked up Saquon Barkley's 5th-year option.
Ooh.
No way.
I was legitimately getting worried because Gettleman was like going back and forth with it.
That'd be
Like,
really
he was coming out
stupid
saying
not
like,
pick that
"Oh, we
up.
got to see about his health and all this, yada yada yada."
He was waiting to see if he'd be ready week 1, probably.
Yeah, and
Didn't
I
want.
don't care if he is ready week 1. You pick up his 5th-year option.
Dude,
Well, yeah, because
Gentleman is an idiot, man. Like, why
He's-
even do that? Everyone knows you're going to pick up his option. You don't need to
Yeah.
play the smoke screen game.
yeah,
Like, why is he still your GM?
Yeah,
He's an idiot.
Because we haven't lost
I'm so
enough
sorry,
yet.
Ron.
Give us one more year.
Oh,
all right.
so sorry.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Ryan.
Nope, no problem. So number 7, I put AJ Brown. Finished number 12 last season, but that was with only 14 games. He was averaging about 17 points per game in PPR leads. So definitely think he's top 10 if he can play every day, play all season. Number 6, Calvin Ridley. Finished number 7 last season. I think if Julio does end up being traded or gets injured like he always does, then Ridley's role in that offense is just starting to grow. Number 5, DK Metcalf. I mean, you guys talked about that one pretty thoroughly.
Yep.
Number 4, DeAndre Hopkins. Like you guys said, his touchdown totals are a concern. I think that's what's really preventing him from being like number 1. Number 3, Tyreek Hill. Don't even feel like I need to explain that. Number 2, Devonte Adams. I didn't put him number 1 just because I still feel like Green Bay is going to go out and get like a big wide receiver and might take some targets away from Devonte. And then number 1, I put Stefan Diggs because, like Ron said, that's Josh Allen's first, second, and third choice. 4th choice would be throwing the ball away. And then 5th would be if he can't do that. Whatever other receivers available. So I put Stefan Diggs up at number 1.
That's
I like
real.
how he'll throw the ball away before targeting another wide receiver.
He's like, I'm going to throw it away. Nope, I'm still in the
Emmanuel
pocket.
Sanders is open, but man, the side of the field, pretty.
No defenders over there. I'm going to go that way.
Defenders over there.
So that's why I have Stefan Diggs up at number 1 for this upcoming season.
There you
So
go,
you-
Joe. There
So you
go.
said there was no surprises in your top 10, but putting Stefan Diggs at number 1, I think is a pretty good surprise. I did not expect that.
That's true. I just feel like he's such a go-to for Josh Allen that he is. I mean, he's going to be the first look that Josh Allen goes to every play.
Okay. Is that still your take after Ryan with 5 white Russians in this year's draft gets to him?
Maybe I'll pay $200 for him. I don't know.
Or maybe you'll take
be
Terry
the only
McLaurin at his
person on your
auction
team?
price.
What's the max I'm allowed to spend? Like 180? How many rounds are there?
Not rounds for one, nerd.
Well, I'm drinking water this year because
Drinking water. You're gonna be so hydrated during the draft.
maybe vodka water. I don't know, but there's going to be water involved somewhere. Because the
Beer,
day after
water.
the day
Beer,
after the
water.
draft was rough.
Yeah, beer, water, beer, water, beer, water.
Hey, I could do that. And that, or I could do hard seltzer. That's like a twofer.
I don't think
It's got
that
water in
works.
it, right? I mean, technically, all alcohol has water in it, right?
Right, it's not-
Technically.
It's got to be the base of everything. And so no crazy takes here. And I can hop right into my tight end list if you guys would like.
I think you should because you don't get to give any surprises. So
Right. And I do think you guys aren't going to love my tight end list, but that's fine. Number 1, Travis Kelsey, just because duh. Number 2, Darren Waller. I feel like that's an obvious one as well.
Waller.
Number 3, and I know I was high on him last year, and you guys didn't have a ton of faith in him, but I put TJ Hawkinson. Having Goff come in has me a little bit nervous, but they did lose Jones and Galladay. I think Hawkinson could see an insane number of targets. So I had him at number 3. Number 4, I put George Kittle. If he stays healthy, I think he's number 2, but staying healthy is the big thing. So I put him down to number 4. Number 5, Mark Andrews. Another thing, if he didn't stay healthy all season, I don't think he played all season last year. So I have him at number 5. Number 6, Robert Tanyan. I actually didn't realize that he finished number 3 last year. But he got re-signed. No competition's been added. So I think it's a perfect situation for him. Number 7, Noah Fant.
Fantastic.
Top 10 tight end last season, even with the roller coaster they had with Locke getting injured and everything else. Number 8, Kyle Pitts. I think whatever team takes him is going to use him. The dude's a freak.
Yeah,
I honestly think if he comes out and plays as well as what people thinks he will, he could be like a top 5. He could be in that top 3 range of those guys right before the drop off that we were talking about. Number 9, Dallas Goedert. He had some really good games last season. He wasn't super consistent, but he did have some big games. I think some consistency with Jalen Hurts there could help him. Then number 10, I put Jonnu Smith. A little bit of a homer pick. I'll give you guys that, but the Patriots have shown they know how to use tight ends in the passing game. I think he's going to be their main receiving tight end. I see Hunter Henry being more of a blocker. And whoever it is that we have coming in at quarterback, I think Jonnu would be an amazing security blanket. Check down passes to him. He's a big guy. Should be able to reel in those short yardage targets.
Still not as much of a homer pick as Daniel Jones is for top 10 quarterbacks list.
That is as homer as you can get.
Get over it.
Ryan, I do like your list here. George Kittle, you've got him at 4. Even with injury concerns, I think he's light years ahead of every other tight end besides Travis Kelsey on this list. So even with that risk, I would still stick him up at 2, though. But overall, I think your list is pretty good.
Sweet.
My only problem is Tanyan. He finished where he did last year because of touchdowns.
Well,
he had a very high touchdown that I just don't think is going to repeat itself.
That's true.
I do.
I mean, and then when you look at his game log, I did have it up. His first few games were just insane. So he had 1 second. He had a game stretch where where is it? Like the 27-point game versus Atlanta in week 4 really is what put him so far ahead in points. I mean, when you look at the list, he was basically tied with the Nets 3 or 4 tight ends last season because it was that close.
But the reason why he's so high on many lists, and I think it's going to continue to this year, is there literally was no production at the tight end position for fantasy football last year. You're going to have weeks where if you don't have Travis Kelsey or a healthy George Kittle, where you're just going to get destroyed at that position. So I'll take a few big weeks from Robert Tanyan as opposed to some of these other options. I still like him in the top 10.
And I still have him at number 6, so it's not like I have him super high. I mean, if those first 5 are gone, then I think maybe I'd take the gamble on Kyle Pitts over Robert Tanyan just because I think whatever team takes him is going to try to use him as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much the only one that I ranked lower that I would take a chance on if he's available.
Yeah, and this is typically my position that I like to stream anyway. So I'm looking for the guy that's going to be a touchdown target in certain weeks. And Tanyan is a good one to target anyway. He's someone that might be on your waivers depending on your league and favoritism towards other tight ends.
And in an auction league, you could probably get him for $1. But I don't see him going early where he's going to get bidded up or anything like that.
My main issue with it is exactly what you said about Devonte Adams. I think they bring someone in the draft, and that's going to steal away work from the tight end.
Or if they don't severely piss Aaron Rodgers off.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Rodgers had a historic year last year, so his numbers are bound to come down a little bit. Not saying he's going to tank and do like 20 touchdowns or anything like that, but
or get benched for Jordan Love.
Right. I'm not saying anything like that. He's still going to be a very good quarterback because he is a very good quarterback. But I think his touchdowns come down. Devonte Adams touchdowns, everybody's touchdowns are going to come down because of the team itself's touchdowns are going to come down. Plus you add in, please God, them drafting a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. That'll take some touchdowns away. That's why I feel like Tanyan is going to not finish up in the top 10. I don't have him in mind.
So you don't even think he'll finish top 10?
Nope, I don't have him top 10. I have him 11. He's 11.
Okay,
which,
who do you?
as we discussed earlier, was, between 5 and 15. It's all.
So I'm curious. Who do you have him ahead? Who do you have ahead of him at 10?
Noah Fant.
Okay.
That's fair. All right, so we're jumping into that, Ron. So why don't you do yours and JJ's list then?
Did I read JJ's list? I read JJ's list at the beginning of the show.
You're good. Not the tight end.
Pretty sure I did. My list is I got Travis Kelsey 1, George Kittle 2. I think they are head and shoulders above the rest. George Kittle obviously has some injury worry, but most of the time he plays through his injuries. It was a pretty bad one he sustained last year that he wasn't able to bounce back from. Number 3 got Mark Andrews. Number 4, Waller. Number 5, I got Hawkinson. I got Kyle Pitts at 6. Jonnu Smith at 7. Dallas Goedert at 8.
The Goedert.
Irv Smith Jr. at 9.
Oh.
And
there it is.
Then Noah Fant at 10.
All right, Ron. Why him?
Irv Smith Jr. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Because they, Kyle Rudolph is no longer there.
True.
Kyle Rudolph was one of their touchdown guys. Historically, Kirk Cousins has always liked to go to Kyle Rudolph in the red zone. Irv Smith Jr. is an athletic freak. He's about that age where tight ends start to break out. Generally, it takes them 3 to 4 years. And he's been in the league. I think this is his 4th year, I believe he's going into. He played well in the time he actually had last year. And I think now that there's not a second tight end there, that he's going to get all those tight end targets. And I think he's going to finish bottom, but in the top 10.
I mean, he did have a pretty big, the last 2 weeks where he actually played in dark receptions. He did have some big games. Well, by big, I mean, so 12 points on week 14, 17 points week 16. Pretty quiet.
I would take 12
the rest
points
of the
from
season.
my tight end every week and be happy.
Yep. Pretty.
Unless it's Travis Kelsey.
Unless it's Travis Kelsey, right? Yeah.
Pretty quiet the rest of the season, but like you said, Kyle Rudolph gone. So.
Right. Plus, with Justin Jefferson taking the top off, that's going to leave the middle of the field. They're going to be rolling the coverage to Justin Jefferson. And I think that just opens up the middle of the field more for Irv Smith. And he's not super fast, but he's got some speed to him. So if he can get ahead of steam going, he's going to plow over a few guys before he goes down at least. So
that's fair.
I like it. I think.
And you had Jonnu pretty high, right?
Jonnu at 7. He's more athletic, and I do believe a better pass catcher than Hunter Henry. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're both on the field 80 to 90% of the time together, running 2 tight end sets. I mean, I guess it could go either way, but I just feel like Jonnu Smith is the more athletic, the better route runner, more likely to be open over Hunter Henry.
Well, the amount of money the Patriots paid to get those 2 tight ends, I foresee them having them both on the field as much as possible.
Who did they pay more?
Jonnu, I believe.
And they went out and got Jonnu first.
Yeah.
There too. Well, boys, we might not just have a first. There might be a second, I might have to admit here. But that second won't be right now. We'll get down that list first. Actually, third. So the second will be that we did go down JJ's list because I just remembered already saying Waller once in this episode. So we definitely did go down that list. So that'll be the second time we've admitted that we're wrong on this episode.
Oh man.
So now I'll go down my list if you guys are all set.
Yep.
Okay. So starting at number 1 here, I've got Travis Kelsey. I mean, 20.3
shocking.
Yeah, shocking. Never saw that one coming. 20.3 fantasy points a game. I mean, come on, he's a number 1 wide receiver here.
Wasn't he like, if you put his numbers as like a wide receiver, I'm pretty sure he was like a top 15 wide receiver.
Yeah, he's insane. He's just someone to consider in the first round.
He would have been ranked number 4 in wide receivers.
I'm a very running back dependent player when playing fantasy football, and I may consider trying to get him this year if it wasn't a keeper league, but I promise you, if it's a keeper league, that person's keeping him. Number 2, I've got George Kittle, simply for the fact that, I mean, him and Kelsey are just light years ahead of every tight end in this group, even with the injury concern. If he comes back healthy, he's an absolute monster. So I'll take that risk on him. And number 3, I agreed with Ron here, which doesn't happen often on the show. I have Mark Andrews at number 3 over Darren Waller, simply for the fact that I think he's the only option in the Baltimore offense that can actually catch the ball from their quarterback, who I don't believe can really pass, and I'm not big on. Number 4, I've got Waller himself. Number 5, I've got TJ Hawkinson, who I think is emerging as a big target down there in Detroit. And honestly, what wide receivers do they have there right now? The day before the draft, they may have someone after tomorrow. If they don't, he's going to be an absolute target hog.
And Jared Goff loves his tight ends.
He does. So he may even finish higher on this list, maybe be number 3 by the end of this. Number 6, I have Robert Tanyan. So I agreed with Ryan there. Touchdown dependent. Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. This is where you have the real drop off on the list, I think, right after 5. So there's different sections where you've got your top 2, and then your next 3 who you can be comfortable with playing every week. And then this is where you start getting into your flexes, I feel like. So Tanyan at 6, I feel comfortable playing him and starting week 1. You can reevaluate after that. Number 7, I have Kyle Pitts, simply for the fact that he's a rookie coming into this. I don't think we have an OJ Howard situation here. I think he's going to come into the league and be very good, hopefully with the Dallas Cowboys. At number 8, I've got Logan Thomas, who I think is going to be a Ryan Fitzpatrick favorite. He's going to be a security blanket. I think he's going to be very good. At number 9, this is where I'm going to have to admit I was wrong coming in with my rankings, because both Ron and Ryan have convinced me now. I have Hunter Henry here, but that might be Jonnu Smith. So instead of Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith here, I'm just going to insert favorite Patriots tight end, because they're very tight end. So that is my number 9 ranking, favorite Patriots tight end, because they're a very tight end dependent system. And whoever appears number 1 is going to be in your top 10 of tight ends. I mean, it's possible both could be. I was
just going to say that with how tight ends are, like we said, between 6 and 15, it's a matter of 5-10 points at the end of the year. There's a chance they both could finish in the top 10.
So number 9 is just New England Patriots tight end. Insert your favorite. And then number 10 is Noah Fantastic. He might have been a little bit even higher on my list now that Teddy Bridgewater's going there, who I think is going to take the job from Denver's current starting quarterback, who I don't think is that good. But
I like your list, and I like that you mentioned. I don't think any of us had Logan Thomas on.
I believe the ghost of JJ LaPlante, I believe, had him on his list.
Yeah, and you know what? When I was making my list, I didn't even think of him.
I missed that one. Yeah, he should. He'll be in the top 10 somewhere. I think you're right.
I did exclude Godert though. I did not have Mr. Godert on my list,
which is weird because you're so high on Jalen Hurts, and I think Godert is their best pass catcher on the team at the moment.
Yeah, funny how that happens, huh?
So that's what I mean. Like, you're so high on Godert or Jalen Hurts, but Godert doesn't make your top 10 tight ends. It kind of baffles me a little bit.
Hey, Ron, can you hit that glass segment for me, and then I'll explain why. Well, that's because Ertz is still there, so we'll see if he gets traded.
Oh, wait, Ertz didn't get released or anything yet?
I thought he
No.
got released.
I
Oh,
thought
did he?
got released.
I'm not privy to that, so
Let me
You
see.
guys keep
maybe
talking, I'm looking.
maybe he will be in the top 10. I think Ryan needs to look that up for us.
Well, Sports Illustrated just said the end of Zach Ertz's Eagles run expected to come this weekend.
So he's still on the roster.
He is still on the roster. He's been on the trade block, but no takers.
So I'll make this prediction then. If Ertz remains on the roster, neither one of them will be in the top 10.
That's true. I thought he got released already, honestly.
So more as a general question, like we've talked about before, it was a really weird year for tight ends. It was either, the superstar Kelsey or Waller. And then it was everybody else. Do you guys foresee it being a more competitive tight end race this season? Or do you think it's going to kind of be the same thing where it's going to be those top two guys and then the cliff?
I think
how Joe said it earlier is perfect. You're going to have the top two guys, which are Kelsey and Kittle. And then the next three, you'll be comfortable with. Like, you're still going to get your weeks where they let you down. But overall, you'll be comfortable with those three. And then after that, it's going to be hope for the touchdown. I think that's...
Let's say you're in like a 12-man snake draft, right?
Mhm.
Kelsey and Kittle are gone early because that's just what's going to happen naturally. How early do you consider taking, those guys that might be in the next three, just to have that consistent tight end?
I'm waiting until towards the end of the draft. I'm not comfortable with this position.
If it's one of those three, Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, and I don't know, according to my list, it would be Hawkinson at the moment. Kyle Pitts could rise on this depending on where he goes.
He's the wild card here.
Yeah.
He really is.
7th round.
Okay.
If they're still there, but if those guys aren't there at 7, I would just wait and I would have to stream.
Yeah,
because,
and I'm not spending much on him in an auction league either.
Yeah, I mean maybe $5-6 if I can get Waller or Andrews for $5 or $6, I'd be happy with that. That's not going to kill my team, and it's not going to leave me needing anything anywhere else, really.
And I think where Pitts is going is going to be huge because, like, if he goes to the Falcons, he'll be the starting tight end. But, like, if he ends up going to, like, the Dolphins, for example, where you got Gesicki there, it's going to be tough to really know how well he's going to do.
The Falcons have Hayden Hurst, who they just traded for last year for a 2nd-round pick.
That's true, too, who was number 10 tight end last year, actually.
Yeah, like, they're not going to – I honestly think Pitts does not go to Falcons. I don't think he goes to the Bengals.
Dolphins?
I don't think he goes I don't know. I really don't know.
Here's another feeling, too. Even Detroit at number 7. I mean, they have TJ Hawkinson.
Right.
I mean,
who's 8? Who's at 8? Panthers?
That might be the spot. No.
Panthers.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. The
Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, the Panthers at 8. I think that's where I had him mocked, isn't it?
I can look really quick. I had him going to the Falcons, I think. No, I didn't.
No, because you had someone trading up for that.
I had the Patriots trading up at that,
If they anticipate trading Julio, they might take him at number 4.
I think they would take a wide receiver. I think if they are serious about trading Julio,
no, they won't.
If they're smart, they'd take defense or trade back because they need defensive players.
If they trade back, I still don't think it's going to be a wide receiver.
So JJ, due to his sabotage, had Kyle Pitts going to the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, he had him going to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Joe had Kyle Pitts going to the Cowboys through a trade,
which Ron hates.
Right.
Ron had them going to the Panthers.
Yeah.
I had them going to the Dolphins.
Yeah. See, I feel like the Panthers would be the team that has a need.
And he's the most fantasy relevant with.
And he's the most fantasy relevant. Honestly, if he goes to the Panthers, I think Sam Darnold's going to love him.
It's true. And in the Dolphins, he's going to be splitting with Gesicki.
Right. There. I mean, I think eventually he'd overtake Gesicki and, he'd be the one and they'd probably phase out Gesicki. But it wouldn't happen right away.
Right, but that's still 2 tight ends in that offense. And as for the Cowboys, well, Ron would absolutely hate it because they have a lot of weapons. It's just that they have a lot of weapons there.
Yeah. And they have Blake Jarwin coming back from injury.
Yeah. And the Lions already have Hawkinson. So there's your 2 tight end sets there. I mean, that's something the Lions might look to do, though, because there's no wide receivers there. So build on a strength. So I could see that happening, too, even with where we sabotage JJ in that one spot. Him to the Lions might not be a bad thing. They might just take it on best player available.
If he goes to the Lions, he's dropping out of my top 10.
And it's going to drop Hawkinson. Like, I mean, I had Hawkinson
down, maybe not out of top 10, but Kyle Pitts will not be in my top 10 if he gets drafted to the Lions.
So you think, though, best place he can end up for fantasy is probably the Panthers?
Yeah. Where I don't think he'll fall any farther than that.
No. I think even if a team doesn't need him, if he's available past that, they're going to snag him immediately.
Yeah. Like I think about.
All right. So Ron would jump up and down for joy for this, but how would he do on the Giants if he somehow got to your team?
If he got to the Giants, I think the Giants would draft him and then they would trade Evan Ingram because there's already been trade talks about Evan Ingram.
Well, he's so inconsistent. Evan Ingram he's tough especially if you're a Giants fan.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be upset if the Giants traded up a little bit to get Kyle Pitts and then traded Evan Ingram. I think a player like Kyle Pitts would make Daniel Jones look phenomenal.
Going into tomorrow, Kyle Pitts is the wild card of the entire draft.
He is that and the Falcons number 4.
I was just whatever
between
they do.
Those two, between that player and that pick, anything could happen.
Shocker. New England trades up. They're doing 3 tight end sets now.
Oh my God. I would cry for fantasy.
I would cry for our division.
3 tight ends that are actually really good tight ends would just be nothing.
Such a Bill Belichick move to make.
It would be a Bill Belichick move.
Belichick would just be like, how can I screw over the biggest number of people the quickest? Right. It would be like doing that.
And do something innovative that nobody else has thought of.
Right,
oh, that's right. 3 tight end sets. Yeah, make it work.
We will win games because of these 3 tight end sets. And Kendrick Bourne.
So I definitely think we're going to have to do some rankings after the draft because so much of it is going to be draft dependent. I know a lot of us didn't have rookies in our top 10s, but I still think they could have a huge impact on what happens in that frame.
Going towards training camp, we're definitely going to have different rankings here. This is way too early. Top 10 for a reason.
Do you guys foresee us having top 10 wide receivers that are rookies like we did for Justin Jefferson and DK Metcalf? Like, do you see Jalen Waddle or Jamar Chase or any of those guys?
It 100% depends on where they go. If Jamar Chase went to Cincy at, 4?
6. No, 5. They're 5.
Who's 4?
5.
Oh, Falcons are 4, right. So if Jamar Chase went to the Bengals at 5, I could see an avenue where he hit top 10.
No, there's too many wide receivers there. Tyler Boyd and the guy they got in the second round there, who's their clear number 1. Yeah, he was their clear number 1 now.
But their defense is still pretty bad, and they'll have to throw the ball a lot. And I think Jamar Chase would supplant Tyler Boyd.
Not Higgins, though. I think Higgins would be the one.
No, not Higgins. But, I mean, there's a chance because they're probably going to have to throw the ball a lot because they're going to be down a lot because their defense isn't that great. There could be 2 of them in the top 10.
I agree.
That would shock me.
I agree with the wide receiver as a rookie that could potentially break into the top 10 would be our friend from LSU here. But I think the place where he would need to go for that to happen is Detroit. There is no wide receivers in Detroit.
Yep.
I just don't see him ending up in Detroit. We'll see. But if he goes there, there's your dark horse for rookie getting to the top 10. I think
there's a few spots where if someone goes any wide receiver that goes to Green Bay. Because if anything was to happen to Davonte Adams, you know what I mean?
If there was an injury to Davonte Adams, there's a good chance.
That's what I mean. Say week 2 or 3, he tears his ACL, done for the year. That rookie is going to have a lot of attention. Good attention.
Yeah, you could have you could almost have like the the Brown Juju effect where the 1-star wide receiver pulls all the defensive coverage.
Right.
So the other one kind of just reaps the benefits of that.
And Aaron Rodgers can support 2 1,000-yard wide receivers. He can do that.
I mean,
so
just for an example, I mean, if they take the kid from Minnesota, if he falls that far, and Adams goes down, I could see him potentially being the top 10. I think he's the most NFL ready wide receiver out of this group of rookies, to be honest.
If Najee Harris goes to Pittsburgh like I predicted,
he's the top right.
He'll be probably in my top 10.
I think I had him in my top 10.
He's got a lot of talent, and Pittsburgh is going to want to try to keep Big Ben from throwing the ball as much to help his arm not fall off.
Hell, he's going to threaten for 10 to 12 range, I think, even at Buffalo.
If he goes to Buffalo, because he'll supplant those two guys. There's no one special there.
I think we have more threat of the rookies at the running back position breaking into the top 10 there, as opposed to the wide receivers.
If Najee Harris falls in the second round and goes to the Falcons in the second round.
I don't see him falling that far. There's still a few teams in the late 20s that need him, and the two you mentioned.
I've seen a few mock drafts where no running back goes in the first round.
I've also seen a few though where Washington takes what's that one guy's name? Not Najee Harris, the other guy.
Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I've seen a few.
I will be sad because I am all in on Antonio Gibson this year.
Okay.
I think he's going to be real good.
And that will dash your hopes and dreams.
That will destroy. That will more than dash my hopes. That will take my hopes, stomp on them, dig a hole, bury them in the ground, then pee on said hole in the ground.
You didn't just stop at bury; they had to pee on you.
They had to pee on it too.
They had to pee on it. That's exactly how I would feel.
For extra effect.
You will see a grown man cry tomorrow night if they take Travis Etienne in that spot.
All right, boys. Night before the draft. Any crazy predictions for tomorrow that we didn't have on our draft show?
I'm gonna call it. I think Matt Jones goes at 3. I think Justin Fields goes before Trey Lance.
Ron?
The Saints trade up to get a corner. Somewhere in the teens.
A corner in the teens?
Mm-hmm.
I also think that the Giants trade back. Just to hurt Ron's feelings.
Maybe that wouldn't hurt my feelings though.
Fair enough.
I mean,
go ahead.
If the players that we could use are not there, if there's not like an extremely talented person, we could trade back and possibly get someone later and get more draft picks. I'd be all for it.
Who do you want? Like one player out of the draft that you would want them to take that's realistically going to be available in that time frame or later?
There's 3. The Patrick
Surtain,
the corner, Micah Parsons,
the linebacker,
and the edge rusher. Quiddy Pay. If one of those 3 guys are there, I really hope we snag one of them.
Okay.
Or Kyle Pitts, but I don't realistically think he'll be there.
I'm telling you, you're going to end up with Waddle.
I'd be okay with that, but I prefer one of the defensive players.
All right. My prediction is something I'm going to stick to that was in my sabotage draft. That the Chicago Bears are going to be picking twice in the first round tomorrow.
Okay.
I like it. All right. Well, that was our top way too early. 2 with 2 O's.
2 O's.
That's 2 boys.
That's 2 O's. Way too early. Wide receivers and tight ends, top 10s. Make sure you go check out our Instagram at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. We'll have all of our lists up there. And we put clips from our shows. Make sure you go listen to the rest of our shows. Very good insight. We're pretty comical from time to time. Mostly Ryan. He's just a chatterbox. We can't get him to shut up. He just keeps talking.
I agree with that.
Talk nonstop.
Shout out to Gangrene Empire for advertising for us this week. That was really kind of him to actually do that. So just wanted to give you a shout out on the show.
Yeah, our download shout up. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for helping out with that. Hopefully that sends some more people your way and good vibes too. And maybe on the Instagram, I'll actually spell things right this week.
That'd be fun. That'd be interesting.
That'd be a change.
Also on YouTube.
Yes, on YouTube, and that's also at Garbage Time Fantasy Football, correct?
That is correct. You can get us on Simplecast too. Guys, make sure to Like us everywhere, download us, subscribe, hit all those algorithms for us, and help spread the show a little bit more.
Yeah, share them on all your social medias, the Instagrams, the Twitters, the Facebooks, anyone you
Snap.
have. Tell people about it on TikTok if you want.
And after Thursday, one of us will be talking shit about who won the sabotage draft.
That's right. Yeah, I can't wait. We'll have to do that sometime.
Joke's on us. None of us got any picks right.
Spoiler alert, it's not
That'd
gonna
be really hard if none of us got any picks right, since I believe all of our top twos were exactly the same.
I think the winner is going to only have like, let's say we got the top two, right? So that'll be 10 points. I think the winner is honestly going to have like between 12 and 15 points.
Yeah.
I'll be happy with 12 or 13, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Are we out of here?
We
We're
are.
outie.
We're out of here.